chaos and confusion over Wisconsin's election. The state Supreme Court overturning the governor's order to delay tomorrow's vote. And then the U.S. Supreme Court overruled a federal judge who extended time for absentee voting.
Here is where we stand right now. In-person voting is moving forward tomorrow. If you have an absentee ballot, you must turn it in, or you need to have it postmarked and in the mail by tomorrow for it to count. If you asked for an absentee ballot but you've not yet received it, you got to give up on that. Show up and vote in person tomorrow.
Well, many voters must now decide whether to practice or participate, I should say, in the election or heed warnings from public health officials to avoid crowds.
The polls will be open at 7 a.m. Tom Durian has been following the back and forth on this all day long. He is live in Milwaukee tonight with where things stand after a game of ping pong, Tom, and this is what everybody needs to know before they go to the polls tomorrow.
It certainly has been a back and forth, Steve. We're outside one of the Milwaukee voting locations. This is one of 5, but really this affects anybody throughout the state that wants to vote tomorrow in any municipality. A lot of people are going to have to ignore that safer at home order so they can head to the polls.
I am shocked by this turn of events, and I'm very disappointed.
In a late evening video conference, Milwaukee officials expressed their disagreement with Supreme Court decisions to move forward with Tuesday's election. After weeks of back and forth with the legislature, the governor issued an executive order to stop in-person voting. That executive order was challenged by the state Republican leadership and overturned in the state Supreme Court in a 4-2 ideological split. Speaker Voss and Majority Leader Fitzgerald said about the decision tonight, "This prudent action by the United States Supreme Court addresses our concerns over ballot security in tomorrow's election. We look forward to the voting tomorrow being secure and look forward to seeing the results come in with the rest of Wisconsin by April 13th. But that wasn't the end of it. In a 5-4 split, the U.S. Supreme Court later blocked a plan to extend absentee ballot voting until April 13th. Late this evening, Governor Evers released a statement saying Wisconsinites will have to choose between their right to vote and staying healthy. And, quote, "In this time of historic crisis, it is a shame that 2 branches of government in this state chose to pass the buck instead of taking responsibility for the health and safety of the people we were elected to serve." Meanwhile, election officials are moving forward.
If you've got an absentee ballot and you haven't returned it yet, you have 2 options. You can return that ballot in the mail, make sure that it's postmarked by April 7th, or you can take it to one of the ballot drop-off sites in the city of Milwaukee.
If you don't have an absentee ballot, your only option is to vote in person tomorrow, while poll workers will be disinfecting machines and more to keep things safe.
I feel very confident that we have done everything we can to reduce risk at these voting centers, all things considered, which is we are hosting a community gathering at a voting center amidst a pandemic.
Okay, so you heard April 13th mentioned in that story. That was the original absentee voter deadline. That is, of course, no longer valid, but results can still come in by then. I spoke with an election commissioner for the state today who says you can be sure that there will be many challenges to this election because of how all this went down. At last count, 111 counties had nobody to work the polls. So again, here's what you need to know. If you are going to vote tomorrow by absentee ballot, you have to make sure it is postmarked by tomorrow, or you drop it off at one of the locations in your municipality, in your city, in your county. If you haven't received your absentee ballot, and there are a lot of them that have been requested but had not got to the voters yet, you have to vote in person. That is the only way your vote is going to count.